So that's it. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions now or afterwards. Chris.
Where can you deploy this? You want to put an app out there. Supports it. What do you have to? What's the deployment?
A lot of times, if you Dockerize it, you can deploy anywhere. Amber has functionality built in that you can. The initialization takes a little bit of work, but after you do that, you can deploy to DigitalOcean in a single command with code updates. You can deploy to Heroku, but there's still a couple issues migrating the database. I won't get into the details of that now, but AWS with an EC2 instance, you can put a Docker container there. DigitalOcean is currently the easiest. But you end up compiling a binary, and as long as that binary is built for the system it's on or in a Docker container, you can run it anywhere.
I saw something, I didn't do it. I saw a post on Twitter that sounded like just massive hate. So some guy who, which I don't know, here's why I hate Crystal, you should too. You read that post and what's the counterpoint?
I have not read it, so I won't be able to speak to it directly. The reason that you wouldn't touch it right now for production is because it's not at a stable release yet, and so you're going to have breaking changes without a major version upgrade. I don't know the details of why you wouldn't use it. I know they're addressing certain things, like for their hashes, somebody had to fix the hashing algorithm essentially, and they did. It was interesting to watch. They could show a visual distribution. They had like a dictionary of 221,000 words, and they showed the distribution when you hash it and the rate and collisions and all that stuff. So there might be something that you can find to pick on, but anything that they've found so far to pick on, they've fixed. Probably parallelism would be the thing that somebody might pick on. It supports concurrency, but not parallelism. And again, that deserves its own talk, those differences. But I don't know. Like, even without parallelism, it can do 2.5 million web requests a second. So I don't know why you would care. But this guy probably is smarter than me. Yes, Rob.
Are binaries portable?
They should be compiled on the same architecture. That's where Docker containers can really come in handy. If you're working on Mac and deploying to Ubuntu, Docker containers are nice. Yeah.
Library.
Everything should be compiled into the binary. There are probably some edge cases if you do, because you can bind C libraries. If you have a C library that you really like, that can probably be done dynamically. And then you'll have to deal with that, yeah. But otherwise, it should all be built into the binary. Mike.
So you talked about a few of the other frameworks that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Are they also modeled after Rails as well, like Amber was? Or?
So there was a little bit of a shakeout of Rails-esque frameworks middle of this year, like in the summer. And Amber kind of came out as the Rails winner. And it does some other things too, like it borrows pipelines from Phoenix, and the way that it handles some things are not Rails-esque, but it is the most Rails-like. Kamal is like Sinatra. Lucky is being built by somebody at Thoughtbot, and that is experimental. So he's trying some different design patterns to try to find a balance between like the monolith that Rails apps usually are and the like modular mess that Node apps are. He's trying to find a balance between those two.
Is Amber the one that Crystal 4 team wants? They're the ones that are maintaining?
No. Monas is agnostic to frameworks and libraries, unless they're part of, like, Shards is part of basically the standard, and Spec and the other things that are built in, they maintain. But as far as other things, they're agnostic. Yes. I don't think anybody is going to touch Elixir when it comes to high availability and concurrency. Crystal is faster. by far, by about maybe 5 or 6 times in a single thread. It's compiled and typed, so you get a little more safety than you get from Elixir, and it's object-oriented. So if you don't know functional programming, you can stick with the object-oriented paradigm. It's not going to compete on high availability and concurrency. It is going to compete on speed of both performance and development. And then, what was the other one? Yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah.
Kind of have some
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on those capabilities, like basically creating immutability.
yeah, like in Ruby, I guess it would be like calling.
You can freeze an object.
And in other languages, obviously, by their very name.
So it's the closest that you can get to that is probably using a struct instead of a class, because a struct will always be copied. It's by value instead of by reference. So the original struct will not change. That's the closest parallel I could think of to an immutable object for Crystal. But admittedly, I don't know enough about that.
Assuming there's no metaprogramming, static.
So there's no metaprogramming. In place of that, there's a very powerful macro language. So it happens at compile time, but you can do a lot of things that you might reach for metaprogramming with macros. In fact, that's how the routes are built in Amber. The pipelines and the routes use macros to write code. Okay?
Thanks very much.
Thank you.